Guys, we recorded the crypto rundown yesterday, Monday the 12th. We basically wake up to find out that Sam Bankman Fried was, in fact, arrested in the Bahamas and had his actual hearing as well in the Bahamas to see if he's eligible for bail and so that he could get out of custody. And there's this big argument happening now if he can, right? He's in custody and it's no longer sort of able to get bail. So he's fighting for his rights right now. And there was a story that CoinDesk, again, we talked about CoinDesk breaking all the news on this tragedy. CoinDesk was inside Sam Bankman Fried's first Bahamas court hearing after his arrest. And they were saying that his mother was in there laughing at the word fugitive. And was just scoffing at the idea that her son could be a criminal and a fugitive. And the dad was apparently covering his ears at certain points throughout the, you can't make this shit up throughout the hearing. And so he's in custody. America wants him. The Southern District New York attorney wants him. They think they got him dead to rights. SEC comes out and says, we got more information. We're going to pile on. CFTC's coming out. They got more information. So everybody and their brother is coming after Sam Bankman Fried. And he's just in a Bahamas jail. And he says he's got more than most people. He's got a loving family and food on the plate. And that was in his testimony. I've only read the first half so far of his long-winded testimony, basically saying, I know nothing. I never knew anything. I got no access. This, that, and the other. Man, crazy. But what are you seeing out there, TiVo?
Everything you're saying, the lawyer's asking for bail. Everybody's obviously saying that he's a flight risk to try and jump town. The lawyer asked for bail at $250K,
okay.
Which, what's that?
You could probably pull that out
of his
a
couple half a percents of the billions that are missing.
Yeah.
But he kept saying he only has $100K in his bank account.
That's what he's saying. I think a guy like him, he's got things in shell companies.
And mommy and daddy will come and
mommy and daddy,
I'm
exactly.
sure. But as of now, I think the first thing I saw is he's facing 8 charges, which obviously I'm sure there'll be more or less, whatever. But, over add up the basic charges that people are seeing now add up to 165 years in prison.
Yeah, that's a long time. I hear, though, with life lengthening technologies, that the first person to live till 200 years old is actually alive today because of longevity research. That might be SBF.
You never know. And I think the one interesting part to all these moving parts that, that we're seeing is, like you said, the SEC and the court hearings that he was supposed to zoom into were going on today. And the active, whatever you want to call it, CEO, Mr. Ray was John Ray was doing his testimony this morning. I was watching some of that. Everybody kind of wants their piece. So if you rewind a year ago, 6 months ago, everybody's taking their piece of his pie with the donations that are now deemed illegal, or a lot of his donations were deemed illegal. And now everybody kind of wants to go and be the face to go get him. I don't know where that ends up. He obviously was in the pockets of a ton of people. So who's really trying to prosecute him and who might be trying to help him? It's a weird thing to try and parse out right now.
Oh, totally, man. This reminds me, I don't know if you've seen the show called Billions. It's on Showtime. Great show, right? And you have, these white collar crimes that occur, and every different regulatory body wants their piece, right? Because that's the placard that they could hang up on the wall. Hey, I got that guy, right? Or, hey, I got, X millions of dollars from that thing. And then it helps their whole platform as a regulator to then go into private work, or go back to, they maybe be a senator, or be, a president or whatever. And so everybody wants to have the scalp, right? And
or even save face. People like, Gensler's smiling, taking photos and this and that. And now he's like, oh, we're going to get him. It's like,
exactly. You see that it's a little bit of a hypocrisy, because you have Gary Gensler or some of these guys who have been meeting, their meetings are public. They've been meeting with this guy. They've been seeing it. They've been requesting documentation, and they let it slip under their nose and slip under their fingers. And so we'll see. But you're right. There is a lot of face saving going on with
All
this
right.
recent
Well,
arrest.
and we'll cover it more next. Everything's going to come out every day. So what
Yeah.
do we think? A week from now, when we record on Monday, is he in the U.S.? Where is he located? What's he doing?
Oh my gosh. A week from today, where is Sam Bankman Fried? Where in the world? This whole entire story has been like one outcome after the other that's just more entertaining and so unexpected. So I'll put my money on him not being in the US and him not being in the Bahamas. I think he's going to be
Ooh, flight risk?
sailing the seven seas, a flight risk. Nobody's going to know where he is, and it's going to be for his own personal safety, right? It's going to be, we got threats, we got X, Y, and Z.
Paparazzi.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe they pay off the government of the Bahamas. I don't think he's going to be around.
I think that's the most interesting thing is how much, what kind of money does he have? How much is it and where is it? Because that's the only out that he has now is paying off people like, Bohemian government or some,
paying off the prison guard.
Whoever. Yeah. Just anybody, mercenary, whatever you want to call him, to go get him out. I'm going to go, you know what? I'm going to go with he's going to be in the U.S. I think this
Locked
weekend. I'm going to go locked up. I think there's too much noise. And a lot of these politicians, whether they're on the right side or wrong side of this, I don't even know what to call this episode of world finance. I think there's too much noise, and even the people who are on the wrong side of it are going to try and get on the right side of it very quick. And they want his ass now. So
yeah.
I think maybe
a lot of money at stake.
Maybe a little like Saturday afternoon when it settles down for the weekend and everybody's hanging out. He just kind of, somebody goes in there in the flight of night and rips him out. Little exchange for the
little FBI raid.
Yeah, why not? At least that's what I like to think. Something exciting will happen.
I heard Amazon already purchased the TV rights.
Oh yeah, that'll be out.
Yeah,
that'll be out next year for sure. I hope they do it right because the story's so good. I hope I'm sure they will. It's crazy. Those documentaries are so good now. But all right, thank you, Bryce. We just wanted to recap that, and we were talking the first part about him attending the hearing, so I'm going to edit that part out. But we got a lot of other great stuff on the rundown. So enjoy the rest of the show. Thanks, guys.
All right, welcome back to the Crypto Rundown. It is the week of December 12th. Another crazy week in crypto. I mean, literally, this industry. Every single week, there's something that just surprises me, and I'm here for going on 7 years now, and I should be like immune to it all, but I'm not. And here we are. TiVo, another litany of FUD, another just gross. I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, so Twitter is just an absolute, I don't know if cesspool is the right word, but it's so negative. It's so negative. And so today, randomly, what I saw a bunch of, and I asked you guys, did you hear about this, is the Binance and US. So these are just rumors. These are absolute rumors. Yeah. But people are kind of putting on the tinfoil hats, as we like to say here, and saying that the U.S. is going to target Binance for money laundering as kind of this whole scheme of FTX, FBX is in cahoots with the government. Right. They're taking down the big players. It's FUD as of now, but there's a lot of people talking about it, and it's getting traction online.
I think, obviously CZ took the air out of Sam Bankman-Fried's empire very sharply, very quickly. And a lot of that was because Sam Bankman-Fried was going to Washington, D.C. and kind of talking shit, apparently, on Binance's way of regulation and all that kind of stuff, the way CZ does business. And CZ fired back. Boom. SBF comes down. And so we all know SBF kind of like bought the media. We found out he bought basically the block with that loan arrangement between the CEO and the sole owner of the block, that all the money he used was a loan. So we know that he has these sort of, grasps into the media. We also know that he was on the New York Times Deal Book Summit getting interviewed by Aaron Ross Sorkin. And so it's like, does he have a similar arrangement? Does he own the New York Times? Does he, does he really own the media? So I think a lot of this blow onto, a lot of the blowback onto now Binance is just like people now still doing SBF's bidding. I heard that he was going to be trying to start a new company in order to make FTX users whole. I mean, this is such the upside down world But now he's saying, hey, you looked at me. Why don't you go ahead and look at CZ and his empire? They were doing some of the same tricks. They were doing all sorts of things. Why don't you audit them? And so it's just a big shit show right now. And I'm bringing Binance down is not a good thing. I mean, they are the largest exchange. They are, I think investigations into them is fine and all that kind of stuff, which is what people are, in the Sam Bankman-Fried camp are starting to advocate for. But I don't think, anybody wants to root for the demise of Binance. That would be a pretty bad thing for the crypto ecosystem, I think.
Yeah,
But I think competition's healthy.
Yeah, I feel like the only person that wants to see Binance fail right now is FTX or Sam Bankman-Fried specifically. And like you were saying, Bryce, he was talking about having an FTX revival and proposing a new FTT token and all these ludicrous things.
Jeez.
Like, who in their right mind is going to let this guy, after he just lost $10 billion, go create another FTX token, another version of FTX, and probably just do it all over again? I mean, that's when he's giving value to a worthless object.
But then you have him testifying apparently, tomorrow or this week. He's going to be testifying in front of the Senate Banking Committee. And who else is going to be there testifying except Kevin O'Leary himself?
Yeah. Is he really going to be there? Is he going?
I heard. That's what I heard.
Man.
I heard he's going to be there.
He's gonna be out steps of the Capitol giving Sam a hug and just waving to everybody on the steps.
Yeah, saying, God, they're going to have some, the OJ thing, like if the glove does not fit or you must acquit, like that whole thing. There's going to be some Sam Bankman-Fried sort of
one thing of the tinfoil hat party, to build on Brendan's point of the only people rooting for Binance to fall would be SBF. I would think back to so before all this happened, so we go 6 weeks, 2 months ago, we were talking positively about how the market was negative, but we saw Fidelity, we saw BlackRock, we saw JP Morgan, all these different, big classic banks are getting into their crypto offerings. Like Fidelity's for the first time is offering, the average consumer, we can go create a Fidelity account and start trading crypto soon. And so I don't know if I'm a business person and those big banks in the history of finance are always the winners, no matter what, on whatever side of the trade, they're always on top or they get bailed out. Maybe they're rooting for Binance to fall because, it's a space they want to get into.
Yeah. I actually think that's a very astute observation. I think it's probably pretty accurate. A lot of the big banks, like you mentioned, BlackRock, Larry Fink, who's the CEO of BlackRock, largest asset manager and custodian in the world, something like $15 trillion or something. I mean, he said at this recent event that he was speaking at just like last week, the future of securities is tokenization, and the future of markets is tokenization. And so he also followed up by saying most of the companies that are in crypto currently aren't going to be around. So I think there's something maybe not insidious, but it's there's all these innovators and startups that come up with these ideas and they kind of percolate up, and then they're going to either get acquired or they're going to get beat out by companies that already have market share in traditional finance. And so I think that they, those kind of guys, the traditional banking system is probably rooting on a lot of the demise of Binance and all these offshore kind of more regulatory arbitrage sort of plays like Binance and other crypto exchanges like FTX was playing in. They're down and dead. But I also think a lot of this is being stirred up by CoinDesk. Okay. CoinDesk is owned by Digital Currency Group. Digital Currency Group has one of the largest portfolios of any crypto company. They might, maybe even the largest venture portfolio. They own so many companies and touch so many aspects of the industry, including Genesis. Genesis Trading was the largest OTC and brokerage and market making firm that is now kind of rolling back operations because they were really burnt by the FTX thing. But if you guys remember, the original Alameda Research balance sheet that started the whole fire was leaked from a CoinDesk journalist. And I think that they have interests that are aligned against Binance. So that makes sense that all this stuff is just another, again, putting the tinfoil hat on, another part of the conspiracy. But this is crypto. I mean, you're getting to see everything. You're getting to see how the sausage is made here. I think a lot of other companies and places in in traditional industries and stuff also have these little back and forths. But with crypto, a lot of the positions and a lot of the wallets are open. So you could see this is labeled Binance or this is labeled Coinbase. So you get to actually see on chain how much money a lot of these companies have, which is a good thing about crypto, right? You see a lot of the transparency. So
macroeconomic wise, sticking in the DC realm, the government, we got CPI data coming out tomorrow and then the Fed on Wednesday. So I don't know anything you guys are keeping tabs on here. It seems that the market, whether it's crypto and especially the stock market as a whole, is just listening bated breath for every drop of these and every word that Fed pal says.
Yeah. So what I'm seeing right now is the expectation for there's two different meetings, right? Which is pretty interesting that we're going to get a CPI number, which the expectation is 7.3% year over year. So you're expecting a 7.3% number. But there's not only the CPI meeting, there's the FOMC meeting, which is typically a little bit more spread out. I don't know why in December it happens to be in the same week. FOMC is going to be setting the interest rate, the Federal Reserve interest rate policy rate, and that's planning on being 75% chance that it's going to be a 50 basis point hike, which is going to be a step down from what it's been for the past 6 months, which has been 75 basis points. Okay, so 75% chance that we actually get a lower rate hike than we normally do. That's pretty significant. So there's a lot of room for surprise. Again, when the market expects something like a 7.3% inflation rate year over year, and if CPI comes in at 7.6 or something like that, that's going to be like, oh my God, inflation's been really hot. The rate hikes haven't really worked well. So what are we going to do? We're going to now price in, more rate hikes. And so the markets will sell off if we get a really hot CPI print. And we might even get such a hot CPI print that the FOMC meeting could lock in a 75 basis point hike on on Wednesday, if the Tuesday numbers are blown out of proportion. So this is going to be, all that to say, a huge catalyst for the market to pick either a continuation in the downtrend or pick a new direction, right? And say, hey, we've got some solid data, some reversal in the market, and start a little bit of a minor uptrend. So that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, for so much of this year, everyone has been concerned about two things: inflation getting increasingly worse and rates getting increasingly higher. And the two things for everyone to watch out for is everyone was going to say, is inflation going to stay this way? And when is it going to decrease? And when are these rates going to be less aggressive? And those could be two of the early bottoming signs of when things could be turning around. Those were the big indicators. And so, knock on wood, hopefully we're not going to break that 10% inflation rate like what people were talking about earlier in the year. We were rising so aggressively that there was a chance on the table that the U.S. saw that 10% inflation rate. And now, knock on wood, it doesn't look like we're going to see that anymore. It looks like it has begun to slowly stabilize, if not fall a little bit. And like what Bryce was saying, if we can see the U.S. move from a 75 to a 50-point basis rate, then that would be an incredible step in the right direction.
So to wrap this up, let's go positive. I saw something on CNBC and the internet today. It was you can now send Bitcoin directly to African bank accounts with no fees via the Strike app, yes. I believe it's called, right? So
yeah. Jack Mallers.
Yes,
Jack Mallers created this awesome application that uses the Lightning Network, connects one bank account to another, and you could send basically any currency from anywhere in the world, from your bank account to another foreign bank account. And so you're not sending like, oh, hey, send me your Bitcoin address and I'll send you Bitcoin. It's an application that's using the Bitcoin network to clear and settle, but it's actually going directly from my, Wells Fargo or Chase Bank in America to, the XYZ bank, financial institution regulated in Africa or Amsterdam or, name your country. So I think it's really, or Amsterdam's a city, but you get the idea. Pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. Shout out to the Netherlands. So it's right now, it's the British pound, the Europe, and US dollar or BTC. And then it costs the users nothing in fees. So basically you're attacking like Western Union, for example, of trying to send money. Yeah. So that was
And,
interesting.
and this is what Ripple really tried to like make their name for, saying, "Oh, we're going to be a network to enable all this." But Jack is very smart, and he's very principled, and a lot of his team really built a great product that's Bitcoin focused. And he said, "We don't need to issue our own token like XRP. We don't need to raise billions of dollars from the public. We're just going to use the Bitcoin network. We're going to make a small company." And we're going to do things the right way. So I'm really excited about once Strike gets to be like a household name, or when people, all around the world could use it, as opposed to it. I think it's maybe starting to be, starting slow and then, opening up for broad download access. I don't think it's a full launch yet. I could be wrong, though.
Yeah, if this strike news is affecting anyone, I think you're right, Bryce. I think that this is a direct hit to XRP. That's their whole purpose, is these cross-border, cross-bank payments, making them cheap and efficient. And it looks like there's just other people that are able to come in and do the exact same thing. If your goal is to make a cheap and fast blockchain, well, congratulations. The longer that all this tech exists, the more every other solution is going to be cheap and fast. And this is just an example of that. I mean, you even have traditional names that are able to come into the space and do nearly the same job and serve the same purpose, except they have exceedingly more connections to more prominent and influential figures, and they're able to come in and disrupt the space extremely fast.
Yeah, so something to keep an eye on. It was a great interview on CNBC with Jack. The guy speaks really well. I mean, he's a great presenter. So final thing here, we had last week we talked about the Crypto.coms sending 10 million to that couple by accident, and that clip took off on TikTok. We got a lot of feedback, a lot of comments, and a top comment that was asked was, "Well, you guys are talking about what happened. What would we do?" So I keep asking in the comments, "What would you do?" People are asking us, "What would we do?" Bryce, I remember if you said it wasn't moral.
Yeah.
So what would you do?
No, I would give it back. I do not want to hold and be liable for $10 million worth of, money that doesn't belong to me. I think that's like totally. And I have a story about this, actually. When I was I must have been 12 years old or something like that. I was at a casino. I was like going to one of the lakes. It was like, Lake Mead or, whatever. It was Laughlin, something like that. I found a couple $100 on the ground. And I remember picking it up and I, showed my dad. I was like, "Oh my God, like, I got $200. Like, this is crazy." Like, he goes, "Oh, like give it to the information desk. If somebody comes up and asks for it, where, let them know where you lost it and all that stuff. Maybe they'll call you and give you the money back if nobody claims it." And sure enough, I got the money back, by the end of the week, that nobody claimed the money and all that kind of stuff. That was $200. Your instinct is definitely to keep it and not turn it in. And if it was cash, right, like that's a lot easier case to make. But this is all digital. Like, if somebody's going to come looking for that $10 million, give it back. I wouldn't keep it.
Brendan, what are you doing?
Yeah, I'd probably give it back. I'd be too scared. We're talking about stealing millions of dollars in crypto. I don't want to be the fourth crypto person to disappear this month. So
That is so true. People are falling off the map. But everybody keeps saying if you make that same mistake, your money's gone forever.
Well, the crazy thing is that Crypto.com has done this twice now. This isn't the first time that they've done it. And so the question's asked, like, how do they keep making these mistakes? By sending millions of dollars to the wrong people.
All right, here's the real answer, guys. I'm always the one with the wild answers. Here's what we're doing. Immediately when you get that, you're going and trying to find the best lawyer possible, and you are suing Crypto.com for mental distress. So you're going immediately to a civil suit and saying, "These people are putting me in a precarious situation. I don't know how to deal with this. This is very stressful." And you literally just sue Crypto.com for about $8 million.
Double down.
Maybe 5. We'll say 5. So it's like 5. And they just, all right, so I'll send back the 10 and then you send me 5 and we'll call it even for mental distress.
TiVo. Now we're thinking.
The caveat is, since they have a majority stake in Shiba Inu, they just send you the 5 million in Shiba Inu because that's what their second largest reserve is anyway.
Honestly, though, that is probably the right way to go about things. The future-proofed way, the right way to think about things.
It is stressful. It is stressful. It's stressful.
Like,
it is like kind of a joke, but I mean, people have been sued for less. Let's You know,
yeah, like the woman who dropped hot coffee on her lap, like
yeah, the
sued
McDonald's. Exactly.
There's gonna be a landmark, ridiculous crypto lawsuit, and it could be this. It could be you who's
If
ever
you can
watching.
file
this.
the right paperwork, it's easier to pay off and stay out of the courts. You just got to find the right lawyer.